Hello YouTube, Captain Y here, back with another build and a new format. Since I've reached the amount of followers on Twitch, we're now doing a live face reveal. I hope I'm looking good. And now we've got Big Red, he's back. But it's got some brand new parts. These are rare to see in the wild of brand new PC components. So we're going to have fun building this machine, and I'm taking you along for the ride. So okay guys, now that we've got most of the components disconnected, we'll just move them all out of the way for now, and we're going to proceed with trying to remove the cooler, and we'll clean up the processor and that, and remove the motherboard. There you go, cooler is now removed. Alright guys, now that we've got the cooler removed, we'll be cleaning that back up and putting that into storage for a little while. And we'll be removing the fans as well. We'll have to do those on the other side. But what I'll do now is clean up the CPU and remove the 8 pins and the RAM. I will put the board into storage. Alright, here we go. Alright, while the case is actually drying, we are now going to start work on putting together the motherboard. So we've got here a ROG Strix Gaming X570 motherboard. Now, this is a very premium sort of motherboard. Not a sort of like the entry level for the gaming series, but very, very nice looking. So get it out of its wrap. Move this out of the way. Take all the cables out of the boxes, all the stickers and instruction manuals, and the ASUS coupons. We'll put this back down. Motherboard on, there we go. So we've got our motherboard here, and actually I'll actually adjust that for you. Give me 1 second. I'll work from the side. I usually don't do this. I usually work the other way, but so you guys can see it, it's going to be easier this way. So let's unravel this. You know, as always, you got your ROG stickers, stick everywhere. You've got Manuel, which I'll be definitely referencing. Oh, sweet. Do not disturb. Enter if you dare. That's some nice sort of stuff in there. And it looks like there's a CD-ROM with the manual and a little note from Rob. Alright. We'll be definitely referencing that. But, here we go. Let's unveil this beast. Look at that. That is one nice looking board. Now, we're going to actually locate our stuff, and while we do that, right, we're going to locate some of the stuff, you know. Open up the manual, see what we need to do.
A few moments later.
I've read all the manuals, especially this one that's Arctic does. It does just a little phone manual to get this done. It's actually really good. Really self-explanatory. There's no real jump up to it. So, first of the part of the manual is to undo the standard IMD. Oh, I'm going to need some more horsepower. Alright guys, now it's for PC installation, or the CPU installation, and we're going to match up triangle with triangle. Now I believe I can see the triangle just in that corner there. It's a bit hard for you guys to see. And match the little gold triangles on the bottom and on the top. They're so tiny. This is the most nerve-wracking. Oh wait, just before. That would have been bad. We lift up our little lever there. And we give just the littlest of wiggles. Yep. Double check because I'm paranoid. There we go. We have our Ryzen in. Sweet. Okay, there we go. I'll give that a clean before we put the cooler on. But our chip looks pretty snug. Right, time for the RAM. Now, we're going with the T-Force Delta RGB RAM. I'm definitely going to have to get myself a pocket knife. Well, better not say pocket knife when building computers. That's bad jujubes. I'm going to have to get a box and put all the stickers in. Now, by this motherboard standard, it should be the two furthest away. Consult Manuel. Always consult Manuel, because you never know. So it's dim. So we want A2 and B2, I believe, which is usually the first ones away. Just to show you, I am reading the manual, just to make sure. So, yep. 21. Yep, so it's the ones furthest away. So, this one, there's one in there, and this motherboard, you know, and this RAM's not that hard to get, which you can upgrade. This one, 3600. Actually, this is faster than what I've got, and it's 32 gigs, and we can put 64 in this. So that is a lot of RAM. Make sure that we have all our notches lined up. Just like that. There we go. RAM is now installed. Alright, so we've got a CPU, we've got a RAM. Now we've got our Samsung 980 SSD. Which, at this stage, I remember hard drives. Actually, hang on, I'll get you an old hard drive. Hang on. Just for a comparison. This is what we used to use. This was top of the line back in the day. Now, we're down to a stick of gum. Amazing. Absolutely amazing how far technology's come. Alright, we'll get to my screwdriver and we'll start taking apart the RAM. Start taking apart the cooler, and by the looks of it, I want that Gen 4 slot too. So we can now install the SSD. Now I'm going to find, because these aren't the really long ones, I'm going to need to find the standoff. Alright, I'm taking off the cover for the thermal pad for the SSD. Now these stickers on the SSDs you don't have to take off, because they actually help transfer the heat. So actually there is no need to actually remove that cooling sticker because it's thermally conductive. That's how they make them. Alright, SSDs are now on. Processor's in. Everything else is on. I think it's starting to look like we have to put this into the case. Now there's no need for the panel because it's already got one pre-installed on the motherboard as well, so we don't need IO shield. And yeah, so we're going to put aside the fan and cooler for the chipset, and get everything else ready. So I reckon it's time we start thinking about installing this into the case.
1 hour later.
After a little bit of a trial by fire to grab a box of components, like, I mean, the components it has all of its original cabling for the power supply that came with this case, which is fabulous. We need that. And I had to run and get it from the client's place. But now we have it. And that we have it, we can actually finish everything. So that includes the extra standoffs I had to try and get, which are now installed. And we'll need the extra screws as well. Alright, I suppose it's time that we start assembling said computer. Alright, let's get this thing in there. Alright, here we go. Alright, now the motherboard goes in. Now, I'm only just gonna sit it on the standoffs and make sure that all their standoffs line up, which I believe they do. Now, very carefully. Holy crap. Yes, I'm going to leave this in video. Some big boys. That's going to be a very tight fit. I need to get my tape measure. Alright, so we'll be back. I'll get my tape measure and we'll measure.
Later that night.
After a actually exhausting amount of time trying to mount the radiator. The tolerances, unfortunately, are very, very tight. Even these guys only just seem to fit in with the power. So they're very, very tight. And as you can see, there's still some more work. I'll just show you just quickly what we're looking at. That's how tight they are to fit everything in to that section. This case was built when top mounting a radiator they were a lot thinner, and they weren't putting 12 core CPUs in here. They were putting 8, maybe even 6. But we are getting there. It's taking time. And this is the part of the process where this becomes a run-of-the-mill build into custom territory. So, what's next? Well, let me adjust the light for you guys. There we go. Whoop. Making a light job. So, what's next? Mounting this bad boy. Now, I haven't mounted the fans yet. For the reason being, I've got other things I've got to put into place before I can mount the fans, such as the cable work for the cooler, right? Which is an Arctic Freezer 280 cooler. So we're going to mount this. We're going to put in the front fan and the power supply, and then I'm probably going to call it an evening, and then we're going to get into fixing up the GPU and everything else next day. Alright, enjoy the montage. Alright guys, now that we've got that completed, the cooler is now installed, thank God. And now we've got to just make sure that fan works, obviously, once we get the power supply going to it. We've now can put the power supply in as well, and 200mm fan, 140, and start working on wiring up the additional data points and that. And this case is going to get completed pretty soon. Now we have the power supply in and the extra 140mm fan here to help cool it. Now it does limit the amount of ports on the side here, but not for what we're doing. There's no dual GPUs going in. We're only putting in a single GPU, maybe with a couple other connectors, but the other connectors will run straight off the motherboard power. So it should be plenty enough power. But just to show you something, this is the original 200mm fan in the front. Roughly around about maybe 500 RPM. A bit old now. Now, we have the new Thermaltake fan, 1000 RPM. Now we're going to get some air moving to cool the front. So we're going to chuck this in, then I will give another overview of the case, and we're going to end it here for this evening because I've got to get some sleep. So this will be the last thing to go in, and I'll wire it up quickly. Actually, you know what? I won't wire it up. I'll wait till I get this case up on its feet, then I'll wire it up. That'll be better. Alright guys, let me get this installed for you.
The next day.
Alrighty guys, this is now day, I think 2 or 3, I think 2. Well, the days are melding together on this build. This is being actually one of my difficult builds to build in. because the case is deceiving. The case is really big, right? There's heaps of room. But because of these drive cages, you got to cut your room in by about a quarter or even a third. So we only get this area to work in. And as you can see, like, I finally did get this fan mounted, and the cables are down there, but I did have to massage it a little bit to fit it in. I'll see if I can get a better view of it. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the 120 back there, since I don't have to go back up into this corner. That should be all good. And we can then work on everything else. I start hooking everything else up, and hopefully be able to have this machine running by the end of the day. I do still have some errands I've got to run. I'm just waiting for some other errands to run today, and yeah, so we are going to see if we can get this machine booted. Awesome. Alright guys, it's now starting to take shape, which is good. This is a trialing PC. We've now got the 12 pin. I have the VGA cables now up in their position. Most of everything is wired to the power supply except for the PCIe stuff. Not the PCIe stuff, the drives, the SATA stuff, which we'll be doing next. As well as all the Molex connectors for the extra components, such as the case lights and stuff like that this case has. So we'll be adding that, and then yeah, and so we've got most of our main fans added except for this one, because there's still some cabling I've got to do on the other side of that area there. So we're going to put that one in last. But everything else is slowly coming together. And I may start it without that fan, just to make sure everything works. But now we have this bad boy to fit. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. But yeah, we've got a multi-panel, because this PC is going to be mounted high. So since it's going to be mounted high, a panel like this will help with doing data transfers and stuff like that. The client does a lot of camera work, so this is definitely going to help. Alright, here we go. Yeah. Other than the cabling, this jellyfish of cabling, these are a great idea for if your case has problems with the components or the I/O at the top. So now I've got to feed this bad boy in. We've got mostly 90% of the wiring done. It's taken me a long time to get everything done. It's really difficult to make it neat in this style of case, but I'm doing my very, very best. But I thought we might record this because it is time that we fit something very, very important to this case. And this computer actually. And it wouldn't work without one. Dun 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 dun. Yeah. Graphics card time. Guys, graphics time. Alright. Graphics card time. Let's fit it in. Right, it's already set in the OC BIOS. And hang on. Come in. I'm going to now click it into place. So hang on, my head's going to get in the way here. enjoy some head action. It's not bad. I still think either I'll no, I will come through. I may even come underneath, in or over the top. I think there's some strained cables there. I kind of want to keep that devil, so I might just loop it around the back and come in from the side. Now, I'm just going to have a look at these cables because yep, we can totally do this. Alright guys, we'll go hook it up. I'll go do the looping, we'll hook it up. And also, just because I'm not touching it anymore. Ah, yeah. Gotta love it's peeling the sticky off stuff. Look at that shine. Right. I believe this is about ready to get booted for the first time. Everything else is pretty supplementary, such as the drives and that, and I can do that later. But we need to get this booted. And I may put in that extra fan as well. I think this is going to work. Alright guys, let me go fix that up. Okay guys, so I'll try and give you a clue in on this. So I've got the GPU in, and it's nice and snug, but I wanted to keep that Red Devil logo clear because it looks pretty sick. And if we have the cables coming in from the top, it would cover it. So what we're going to do is we're going to tuck these cables as best we can up along here, following that ridge. And that way, you know, the cables will help support the GPU and they're pretty well out of the way. And just run it along there. It's a classic sort of style of PC building. I haven't done it for a while. I did it on my wife's machine, and trust me, the loom was about 3 times thicker than that. So, but it's good that we can actually do that. The case allows us to have that space there, and yeah. So now, I've just got to put it all together, maybe clean up the back a bit more, start it up and see if it posts. Okay, we've got some little extras to put in as well. We've got a 4K 60 Pro to put in, as well as a 7-port USB. And we're going to put that in right now. Alright guys, we've got everything in. Graphics card is now in. The Elgato is in. And the USB the USB extension on that. So now, all we have to do, tidy up it a little bit, power it on, see if it works, and then we'll finish the cable management. Because I really don't want to be having to take that apart if it's not working. So, cross your fingers. Unfortunately, Jonah Hill requested his hair back. So, not much I can do about that. So I don't have the crazy wild hair, but that machine's ready to be turned on and tested. So, yeah. Okay. Testing. First test run. We're going to try and see. There we go, guys. It is booted. Woohoo! Time to get working. Right, so now we've got a boot on it. Everything seems to be working. I will actually see if I can get that RGB working in the front, which is not a big issue, but everything else is now working. How about that? And if I'm just having my beautiful wife, unfortunately, do this here. We'll go in. I'm just taking the camera here and you can have a look. Just a sneak peek, just a sneak peek of that. So what we're now going to do is we're going to start cleaning up the cabling and work on installing a base OS and get it all set up for pretty much the client to come pick up when they're ready. Happy days. And we might do some tweaking in the OS to make it run pretty smoothly. Alright. We have Big Red starting up here. I'm just running a Quick Heaven benchmark on this, and I'll be running a handbrake test because I will be doing some video editing. But we have one little problem. Unfortunately, he died. So, oh, you got it upside down. There you go. You can't always have the best filming. But he died. So, Samsung 1TB. Luckily I had a spare of the same model. And they've gotten the computer booted up. It looks like it's running pretty well. I'm just completing the benchmark, and yeah, I believe this build's all done. I'm gonna pack it up, package it back up, and give it over to the client. He will be happy to have it returned, and especially the state it is now. We'll be also installing the Elgato software and just testing out the bits and bobs. Other than that, guys, this build video is all done. I'm happy with it. I believe my wife is now happy with it since she's got her husband back. And yeah, I think I'm going to close it out there. I'll catch everyone in the next video.